Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of the new book, Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love, available now in paperback, Kindle, and soon on Audible books. Now, if you're watching this video today on Wednesday, October 9th, or Thursday, October 10th, I'm offering the Kindle version of Twin Flame Romance at a reduced rate. So currently this afternoon, it's either $3.99 or $4.99. So the price will incrementally go up until the 10th, October 10th in the evening time. So if you haven't yet picked up your copy of Twin Flame Romance, now is a good time as any to pick up your copy. And if you're currently reading Twin Flame Romance or you have finished reading it and have not yet left a review on Amazon, I will, once it's posted, do a screenshot, send it to me via email, and I will give you an Audible copy of Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, which is super duper pertinent to the topic at hand today. Again, if you want to book a 30, 60, or 90-minute Twin Flame reading with me, just email me at michellefondinauthor@gmail.com, and there is also a link below. So welcome. Today we are talking about a rather serious topic. I don't know, there always seems to be a serious topic, and I'm not too keen on super duper serious topics. It's really funny, you guys, because I know you guys know me as like this more or less serious spiritual teacher, but really, in daily life, I am super duper not this serious at all. I am a total freak and goofball. Like, I am always joking around, always laughing, always cracking jokes. So I am not this serious in daily living, I promise you. I am like a kid. I'm very, very like carefree. So for some reason, God has chosen me for this path of seriousness and spiritual development. So here I am teaching it to you guys. So today we're going to talk about demystifying unconditional love, getting out of your ego. So it came to me because there's some BS, to put it nicely, going around in YouTube land among the Twin Flame community. And to be honest with you guys, with anything where there is a version of pure truth and where there are versions of people trying to do pure truth, and then there's always the bastardized versions of what the truth is. And because some of you that watch my YouTube channel are relatively young, I know and I said this last night during the Twin Flame Q&A, that I looked at the statistics on my YouTube channel, and the highest age range group that watches my YouTube channel is ages 25 to 35. So I know many of you are relatively young. Therefore, many of you don't have a whole lot of experience in relationships, or maybe you have like a short-term experience in relationships. But also, like, not many of us have experiences in unconditional love, right? And a lot of you are becoming awakened for the very first time in your lives. So this awakening process has brought you to new heights and also to a new set of rules, if you will. And it's kind of confusing because you lived a certain way and thought about love, romance, and relationships a certain way up until the point at which you met your twin flame. And then that paradigm was completely transformed into this other paradigm of unconditional love, which, as I mentioned in this book, Twin Flame Romance, it doesn't come with a handbook. The Bible talks, if you've ever read the Christian Bible, it talks a lot about unconditional love in the New Testament. And of course, Jesus was a testimony to unconditional love in every single way. So if you are not familiar with the story of Jesus and like some of the Jesus stories in the Bible, I would say, you know, just for kicks, just read some of those and you will see the continual display of unconditional love that Jesus put forth in his lifetime. In my book, that's why it's called The Journey to Unconditional Love, because I really have the great focal point on unconditional love, because not many of us do have experiences with unconditional love, honest to God. It's a newer experience for most of us. Most of us have lived throughout our entire lives experiencing love with conditions. And even though our parents, for example, had the best intentions ever to unconditionally love us, You know, and I know that most of us did not receive unconditional love via our parents. So in this book, Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, and that's kind of the basis of the topic for today. In chapter, I don't know if it's chapter 4, I'm sorry. Let me just look. It's the Heart Chakra chapter. And some of you have already downloaded this on Audible, so you may have heard it already. So the Heart Chakra chapter, which I just passed by twice, so we will see. It is chapter 4. Lo and behold, there you go. I had no idea. I haven't looked at this book inside in a very long time. But in the Heart Chakra, which is Anahata, in the chapter in this book, which is chapter 4, right? Angel number, there you go. It talks about loving from a higher state of being. So I went through the Greek definitions of love. There are many, it's kind of cool. In Greek philosophy, there were a lot of different definitions and different words for love. And the two main types of love we're going to address here are eros, which is that infatuation, sexual energy, the crazy, like out of your mind, just totally falling down in love with this person, into agape, which is the more mature, unconditional type of love. So the confusion that I'm seeing on the twin flame sites, blogs, comments, all of that is coming from people that are perpetuating a bastardization of what unconditional love actually means. So here is what I'm hearing. What I am hearing is that unconditional love means anything goes. I love you unconditionally, therefore you can do anything. And if you love me unconditionally, I can do anything. And that is absolutely positively not what unconditional love is, okay? Unconditional love is unconditionally loving that person, their soul, their spirit, the essence of who they are, the presence of who they are. Unconditionally loving them, that means you put no conditions on your amount of love that you give them. You give love to them unconditionally, okay? No matter what. It does not mean anything goes. It doesn't mean unconditional like acceptance of things like bad behavior. Unconditional love does not mean that you do not set boundaries. Unconditional love does not mean that you accept any and all behavior and that ego behavior is okay on both parties. That is totally not what unconditional love is, because when both parties, when both parts of the couple, both parts of the twin flame dynamic have reached a level of unconditional love, they're operating from spirit. They're operating from the third eye chakra, the crown chakra, and the higher chakras, okay? That is where they're operating from. They are not operating from the first 5 chakras when interacting with their twin. Therefore, the ego has already been transcended. Since the ego has already been transcended, you are not going to perform acts in the unconditionally loving being of who you are towards your twin that are ego-based actions, okay? Now, of course, we're human. We're going to sometimes slip into ego behavior, but the majority of your behavior is not going to be ego-based. The majority of your behavior is going to be based on that higher spiritual essence of awareness, sensitivity, compassion, giving, forgiving, loving, joy, bliss, respect, honor. Like all of those things, you are going to operate from a higher frequency. And your twin is going to operate from a higher frequency. Therefore, the BS of my twin can sleep with whoever they want and I'm going to be unconditionally loving to them because that's what unconditional love means, that is total BS. And vice versa. If you say, well, you know what, I can sleep with whomever I want because I'm in separation with my twin, and you know what, that's anything goes because they should love me unconditionally. That's what unconditional love is all about. That is total BS. Now, I'm not telling you that if you are in separation and you need to be dating because you have not been in contact or communication with your twin for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then you need to move on with your life to actually live your life, that is one thing, right? That's not loving them unconditionally. That is like respecting yourself, loving yourself unconditionally, and living authentically from the space of who you are, and saying, I've been in separation for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. I need to move forward with my life. And to move forward with my life, that includes perhaps dating and maybe marrying another person. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ego-based desires that you cave into and you justify it with unconditional love. That's what I'm talking about. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that I'm going to date this person to try to make my twin jealous or angry or upset, or maybe get them to come back to me. I mean, that is manipulation. That is not unconditional love. That is an ego-based action. That is not unconditional love. And inversely, it also means that you are not going to unconditionally accept any behavior. You are going to hold the space of unconditional love for them, but you're not going to unconditionally accept the unacceptable. Okay? So I spoke to you guys many times about being in the relationship with an alcoholic, and the reason why I refer back to this a lot is just because the types of behaviors that are unacceptable in the realm of relationship behaviors that are unacceptable, it tends to be in these types of codependent relationships. It doesn't have to be alcoholism. It could be narcissism, as someone mentioned on my YouTube channel. It could just be plain bad behavior. For years and years and years and years, as someone who did not understand that unconditional love needed to be reciprocal, I accepted a lot of unacceptable behavior, and to my own detriment. And it was because I didn't love myself unconditionally first, which you all have to do. You all have to absolutely positively love yourselves unconditionally first. Because the problem with not unconditionally loving yourself first, it means that you will give to depletion. You will give of yourself to depletion without receiving anything in return. And that creates a whole host of problems like resentment and anger and suppressed like negativity and all of that. But also it is accepting unacceptable, unloving behavior from the other person as well, which is also detrimental to them. Because if you think about it, if they're continually abusing of your boundaries or walking all over the boundaries that you set, they are doing this to their own detriment, because underneath the walking all over you part is these hidden suppressed feelings of guilt, shame, blame, self-blame, and they are not unconditionally loving themselves. So let's take an example of a child, for example, who grows up to be an adult, and this parent says, "Oh, I love you, child, unconditionally." What the parent is saying is, "Child, I love you unconditionally for the soul that you are, for the person that you are. I gave birth to you. I raised you. Like, I unconditionally love you as a human being. You are my child." But then that child goes and robs banks and murders people. That parent would be foolish to unconditionally accept that child for who he or she is as an adult committing these crimes. So unconditionally loving can also mean unconditional space, meaning like I'm going to create this space between us, which means that I'm going to love you from really far away. I'm going to let you live your life. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to pray for you, but I'm not going to deal with your bad behavior. I hope that like you guys are beginning to understand that loving unconditionally and accepting unconditional love from your twin unconditionally does not mean that it's to service your own ego. And do not be fooled by certain justifications. Don't be fooled by that. Jesus himself never taught about conditionally loving and bad behavior. So if you read the Bible, if you've heard some Bible stories, even when you were young in Bible school or Sunday school, even when he spoke to sinners, and Jesus was a friend of the sinners, right? Jesus was a friend of the prostitutes and the tax collectors who were like the worst of that time. And if you know anything about history, they were the worst. The Jewish tax collectors were the worst of the worst of the worst of the time because they were double taxing their own people. It's kind of like if your brother is just like a tax collector and he like comes to your house and he says, okay, well, this amount of your money I'm going to take for the Roman Empire. But this amount of your money, in addition to that, I'm going to take because I am the tax collector for the Jews. So like they were like double stuffing their own pockets. So they were well hated by everybody in their community, and they were just considered to be crooks. Like Jesus was a friend of all these people, like, you know, of the sinners and like the people who were consistently doing bad things or immoral things and immoral behaviors. But he never excused their behavior. He said, I love you, but he would forgive them and say, go and sin no more. It wasn't like, I love you unconditionally, just go continue to do your bad behaviors. He never said that. I think it's all too easy to turn unconditional love around to serve your own ego, and just make sure that you're not doing that. If you are in that mindset still, or if your partner is in that mindset still, it's that they have not transcended the ego. They haven't gone through, I don't even like the word ego death, but I like the concept of like, you are the ruler of your ego and the ego is not the ruler of you, being that you are the higher self, you are the higher spirit. Therefore, you are in charge of the ego rather than the reverse, where the ego is in charge of you. Unconditional love also means being unconditionally sensitive to your twin's needs, wants, and desires, and that your will and your want is to serve them in their needs, wants, and desires. And then inversely, when they are living from that higher spiritual plane, they are going to want to serve you in your needs, wants, and desires as well. So it will be very, very reciprocal. For example, just knowing that my twin had a lot of hurt in his past, knowing that there were a lot of trust issues in his past and people breaking his trust. For me to say that, and this is just the example, if you guys saw the video that I put out last Friday or Saturday, that for me, letting go of a friendship that was an ex-boyfriend friendship, for me, that is being sensitive to my twin's needs, wants, and desires, and not doing anything for my own selfish needs. That is how you guys are going to weigh it out. It's what would my twin feel inside if I did action A, B, C, or D? And then how would I feel inside? Because if you really listen to your inner voice, you're going to know in this unconditionally loving journey, you're going to know what's right and what's wrong. It doesn't mean, again, unconditional love does not mean you throw your morals out the window, because you can. Because unconditional love is a gift, you guys. It is a total gift. When your twin hands you that gift of unconditional love, that is something precious to behold. They are coming at you from the most vulnerable place that they could ever come to you. The most vulnerable place. And since they are coming to you with this offering of unconditional love from the most vulnerable place that they are at, you need to take care of that. Like, you need to hold that preciously in your hands and just take great care of it. And treat it with the ultimate respect and honor, and not want to hurt that vulnerability. And inversely, they are going to do the same for you. Let's get out of the ego. Super duper duper important. Love yourself unconditionally, which in this book, I talk a lot about loving yourself unconditionally so that you can better serve your twin. So you can better serve them in unconditional love. So go forth and love unconditionally. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Hit the bell for notifications. Thank you so much for sharing this video with other twin flames, subscribing and, encouraging them to subscribe too. Thanks for supporting this channel by buying a book. Go to my new Amazon store and you can click through to my books, other products, and recommendations. It's a great help to keep this channel going. It doesn't fund itself, I promise you. The link is below, and I will see you in the next video.